Welcome to this episode of Let's Make Millions. I'm Rob Medved, CEO of Canella Media. I'm here with my managing partner, Bill Raymond. And this is part 2 of our interview with our good friend, longtime marketer in the industry, Mark Jones from Life Brands. In the previous episode, he talked about Tybo, how we came together and gave away some great marketing tips and tricks and how he got to be where he is today. We are going to continue the conversation, and it gets exciting. He talks about MyPillow and how he got together with Mike Lindell and how they brought that product to life over the last basically 10 years. That brand has been on the air for the past decade, and he talks a lot about how they got it to where it is today. And so stay tuned for an incredible interview with Mark Jones. He talks about MyPillow. He talks about his journey to sobriety, which he shares with Mike, and he talks about a lot of other things. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. As part of Let's Make Millions, we have a facet called Let's Give Millions. And today we're going to make a donation on behalf of our guest, Mark Jones, to 3square.org. It's a food bank in Southern Nevada. Last year, they gave away 42 million meals. Incredible. They give it away to faith-based organizations, schools, families in need, families that are on the verge of hunger, and it's really a good organization. So 3square.org, Mark Jones, MyPillow, and Mike Lindell. Listen up.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it.
I remember Bill coming to me and being like, hey, Jones is working on a new show.
So let me say this. So I saw the first cut of it, and I saw it, and we were talking. I'm like, it's a fucking hit. And I'm like, there's no way that this won't work. And Rob here, I don't know. Someone's not going to buy a pillow for that kind of money. I'm like, dude, this thing he's selling, it's going to work. It's going to be a home run.
Well, I think that
Meanwhile,
you were
Contour pillow, Sabakawa pillow.
Yeah.
No, a lot of pillows in our industry, but for whatever reason, I was like, this one, that's not going to happen.
Well, you know what? You were absolutely right about that. Oh. And I remember, well, here's the thing,
Tell
though.
me.
Market.
So, it was really actually a good take. And I remember it because I was standing out on my deck when we were having that conversation. Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday because it really struck a chord where it's like, man, how are you going to sell a pillow for like $60 when, all these other ones are here at $19.95, and I'm like, I'm not going to show the price.
And
so
that was right.
So if you notice, like in the first 100 years of MyPillow, we never had any price on there. You had to call or go online.
And you have written, scripted. We're not going to take away from all the other people that have chimed in and come into the brand since, but you were really instrumental in writing that direct response copy.
Yeah. So when I first met Mike, I instantly started rooting for him. Mm-hmm. He was just coming up on 5 years of recovery.
Yep.
He'd really turned his life around. I saw how he treated his people. I saw how passionate he was about his product. And, and I don't know, we just kind of really connected, and so just like we do, we're always rooting for our entrepreneurs and the different people that we're kind of working with. And so I told him at the time, it was funny, our first meeting was 2 hours. We sat around his ex-wife's old kitchen table. That was a round table with 4 plastic outside lawn chairs. That was the conference room.
At his office.
Yeah, after we get done, I'm gonna give you guys some pictures of the early days of what that looked like, because no one would ever believe it. There was a mechanic shop on the one corner. This is a metal outbuilding, and on the other side was like a storage area for school buses, and in the middle was MyPillow. Yeah. And if I show you some pictures of the early days,
and it was a handful. It was Mike, a passion, and a handful.
Yeah,
of
I think a lot of people were probably had a hard pass on that.
Yeah.
Because again, Mike is so passionate about it, and they were, kind of way down the road on an infomercial, and they had paid somebody who was a well-respected writer in our industry, great lady, really like her, but anybody who met Mike for more than 5 minutes would know that he should never be on a script ever. Mike is somebody, when you have certain talent like that, it's really someone that needs to work from an outline.
Yeah. Just let them riff.
Right. So
you're right. Yeah. So the best material come when they're just being themselves, and that comes across on film. You see it again and again, whether testimonials, whether it's an owner, and owner stories are a big thing in digital media right now, right?
Yeah.
Like owning the product, the
Speaking
startups,
the camera,
the brothers that own the shirt company, whatever it may be, direct to camera, that passion and that realness vulnerability, whatever it can be, comes across on film. And if you can capture it, you're right.
Absolutely.
And you don't capture it with giving somebody a script to read.
Right. Well, and the thing is also is that, you know, they had like a 22-page script for this guy.
Yeah.
And there's just no way he could do it, you know? So, I mean.
So it was the first creative that you did long form?
Yes. So the first creative we did was long form.
Okay.
And basically the way, you know, because he, you know, Mike was, you know, kind of convinced at first, well, not convinced. He was being led to believe like, hey, you need to have a script, you know, a script writer, you need to have this and whatever. And I just walked up to him because they had been successful. At that time, they had been going to, you know, fairs and home shows.
Yeah.
And he was also doing, you know, some different, you know, print and some things like that too. So I kind of went up and said, Mike, if I came up to the, you know, Minnesota State Fair and I came up to your booth and I said, hey, tell me about this pillow, what would you say? And he goes right into his whole pitch. And I'm like, Mike, that's the show.
Yeah.
But instead of doing it one-on-one, we're going to do it to 80 million people at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's crazy how many people in our industry, Vince Offer, all these guys
They come from
that
that.
have come from the pitch world, you know, the state fair pitch world.
Right.
Being able to sell like that is
Even
just,
what's the guy's name that passed?
Billy Mays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Billy
same.
Mays. Yeah,
Yeah. God bless Billy Mays.
Boardwalk. Yep.
Right.
No, absolutely, and that's just it. So, you know, then the light bulb goes off because it's like, listen, you've already perfected this 1-to-1.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, what's your close rate? He's like this. I'm like, Mike, that's a show.
Yeah.
You know, and instantly he was like, that is the show. And so,
and
we
you
wrote
did
the
a
outline
soft
around
offer. So you didn't typically you run a call to action and you're going to build to the impulse, and then you get
Right.
people's perception of what the value of the product should be. That's our job, right?
Right.
And then you're going to give them a little bit more and a little bit more, and hopefully you break that perception bubble with a price point that's lower, and that's what creates that impulse.
Well,
right?
and that's where writing the script comes in.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, even at that time, you know, with our demo, they like to call on the phone. You know,
Yeah.
they like to talk to people and what have you. And so, by not having the price, what's the first? You know, people call and say, "I just want to know the price. I don't want to. I just want to know how much it is."
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, "Hey, how you doing today? I'm Mark from my. Oh, I'd be happy to. I just want to know the price."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, I'd be happy to. Are you calling for like king or queen size pillows? Queen size, okay. And are you a side sleeper or are you
Yeah.
more of like, oh well,
now you're vested.
right? And now I'm like putting that in. Kind of get the little.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well,
little
this and
bite.
that. So now,
So the inbound, the important point there is the inbound script is
you got to get people to
is
start
very
talking.
vital, important
Yeah,
part of
you
the
have to be
funnel, yeah.
conversational on that. And so, you know, the agents and the thing was we had an outside agency, telemarketing agency, for about 6 days.
Okay.
After the first day,
In-house.
Mike hated it,
Mm-hmm.
didn't like them, and wanted an in-house inbound center set up. So I set that up in basically 7 days
Yeah.
in-house. Found the place, got all the stuff. The office furniture guy was probably his best day. I'm sure he had a tear in his eye when I left because we just came there. What do you have? Great. Can you bring it all over here? Here's a check.
Yeah.
Like putting it all in there. And then
How many seats did you grow that to?
I mean, hundreds.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, we literally
All
had
in Minnesota.
all in Minnesota, and it was like that's probably I think one of the proudest moments about what we do is when you see something that was an idea that we're all kind of sitting around talking about, and then you roll into a parking lot, you know, and you see 1,600 people who didn't have jobs that now have jobs that
Amazing.
are, you know, feeding their
powerful.
families, that are paying their bills. To me, probably without a doubt, the most prideful part of what we do is
Yeah.
going there going like, man, that's a real difference right
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Especially at a time when
especially
there
in a
wasn't
small
much to
town.
be happy
Yeah.
about at that time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the economy sucked, like everything sucked. So it was great. And also just, you know, being very passionate about keeping everything here in America. So it's not just the people that are working on My Pillow, but also all the vendors, you know, the sewers, you know, the people that are making like, you know, the cloth, the foam makers, all that stuff, keeping everything here. You know, we could have saved, I think Mike had calculated one time as something like $1.80 that you could save, which that's real money in our business. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's a $10
especially.
retail
Yeah.
right there almost. You know what I mean? So, but it was like, yeah, you know what? It's not worth it. And I was like, you know, it's great because you can only lead people. And at the end of the day, it's Mike's business and he's got to make that decision. But I always really, really, you know, just really appreciated and really had a lot of respect for him in doing that. Because
Yeah.
again, a lot of people are focused on making money and Mike was more focused on the customer experience, which we all know is the key to building any brand from a foundational level. So
passionate
it's awesome.
about it.
Absolutely.
Has he changed much, or is he pretty much that dynamic character that you saw from day one?
You know, yeah, I mean, I think everybody changes, right? As you kind of go through stuff. I mean, he obviously, you know, has had really caught like kind of the political bug and really got really into that and what have you. And again, for us, it's like, you know, we're a service business, you know, and when I talk to him, I don't talk to him about that.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the business and the brand and the different things. And, you know, I know my role, you know, in that organization. So, but no, he is still, the same genuine, ask him a question, you're going to get an answer, and it's going to be an honest answer.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't hide from his past. You know, he's like, yeah, you know, he would go to these, you know, as he started becoming more and more prominent and getting more and more, you know, recognizable, he'd be invited to these different dinners. And I remember Mike saying, like, yeah, some of the guys were saying, hey, maybe go a little bit light on kind of the crack talk, you know, and some of the things from the crack addict days, some of the stories, like, you know, because Mike would tell you stories that were like,
I will say this. I have his book.
Yeah.
I read the first part of the book. It's completely engaging.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story. What he went through and where he came from. Politics
really
aside, he is a dynamic figure. And the amazing thing is, people don't realize this, and everybody says it. It's true. And we're involved enough with you to know this, that there is no bad PR.
No.
Right? Every time they would yank him out of a retailer or they would say something bad, the results would go through the roof.
Yeah, people don't like. I don't think people really like that kind of thing. Out there, like, hey, we're going there to buy goods and services. We're not going there for you to be like our conscience.
Yeah,
you know, like let us decide what we want to do.
And he knows his customer.
He does know his customer,
and you know his customer. You did a great job positioning him. And he is a Christian, so he's got the cross, and you made that prominent. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, that again,
the continuity of that brand from his dress, his look throughout has stayed, and you've kept that.
Yeah, you know, the first time I met him, I realized very early on that I was working with two brands. You know, Mike Lindell and My Pillow, and you know, like all of us, you know, I'm a huge fan of the industry. I study it. You know, one of my favorite brands kind of coming up was, you know, the Oric brand with David Oric. And that's kind of really a similarity that I drew is like, you know, you have somebody who is really the face of the franchise out there.
Yep.
And every time you saw, you know, that person you knew was David Oric. And so the shirt, you know, the look, all that was really important to keep that. When we first went from TV onto QVC, it's like, should you wear, I'm like, gotta wear, you know, wear that shirt. So, and the funny thing was, it was kind of a cool, unique shirt. So it was like, where did you get that shirt? Because we need to go get about 5 or 6 of them, right? Yeah. You know, so ended up getting, you know, all those kinds of things, whatever, and then just keeping again that continuity and branding, that continuity and messaging. You know,
and his cross is prominent.
Well, his cross is prominent because somebody said, "Hey, you should tuck that cross in," because he had it kind of hanging out, this, that, whatever. It was like, "Oh, hey, you should probably tuck that cross in." He's like, "I'm not tucking it in." So we ended up having a thing where it actually there's a little thing that actually clips onto.
Make sure it stays.
Yeah,
stays there.
Yeah. If you want Mike to do something, tell him he can't do it.
Yeah.
Like Mike, you know, the foam guys, you know, early on, we went to these guys and he's sitting down with them and he's saying, here's how much foam I'm going to need. And he and I were sitting there and, you know, because I literally spent every day with him for the first 2 years. The amount of work that it took to build that is
My Pillow
amazing.
Almost $1 billion brand at this point?
You know, it's hard to say.
I mean,
you know, it's hard to say. I mean, it's
a $500 million brand for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, it's certainly up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many different facets to it. You know, now
all the line extensions.
Yeah.
You got slippers and shoes and sheets and.
So how many years has it been since? So it's been 10 years.
It's been 11.
11. That is
you can believe
amazing,
it.
Mark.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
congrats.
remember that. Yes, congratulations. But I remember that call like it was like not 11 years ago. And you go, Bill, let's start this again. And we turned it on and we ramped up quickly.
And isn't it funny that it's basically like almost 10 years to the day of Tybo?
Yeah.
It's like it's like a decade of decadence. You know,
Yeah.
every
We'll see
decade.
you in 2033.
Yeah.
We got another one coming.
Yeah.
But so huge brand, huge. It's encapsulated a lot of life brands and a lot of what you've done. It's not to take away from the other successes you've had as an agency and as a company, as a marketer, but to stick on my pillow a little bit. So some of my favorite creatives. You're just a genius when it comes to this. I remember calling you and be like, dude, it was when it's a short form commercial and Mike's pitching, and all of a sudden it goes to a. Yep. And Mike goes, I'm interrupting this commercial. And it's an incredible channel stopper. Yeah. And I started laughing. And I was like, that is freaking Cookie Jones right here. Just laying down some really good scripting.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
Interrupting his own commercial.
It's one of the things, that early on was so fun with Mike, is collaborating on stuff like that. There's so many funny stories. I mean, we literally sometimes would come to the shoot, and of course the production company, everyone's all buttoned up. We have all our things, right? Production guys, everything, here's our list, here's our call times, here's we're going to shoot here and whatever. And then Mike would come in, you know what I was thinking? What if we did whatever, the whole day changes, the whole thing's going to change. So it's like, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? Yeah. It's the beauty of what we do is like, we could do anything we want to do. Yeah. It's our brand, it's like we make the rules.
And it's evolved quite a bit. I mean, it moved from really more true direct response, direct to consumer, build, impulse, Mike pitching hard to, and we see it. The consumer might not see it, but it's a much more well-branded brand at this point. And the creative's changed along the way as well.
It's gone kind of back and forth, just like the progression of any brand. Like you get, you kind of break through, you're kind of establishing, you're getting in some other, line extensions and different things like that. And really kind of like one of the next steps was when we brought in one, I think is one of the most talented, production people in the business, Kenny Tott. Yeah. He's been with, had the GoCo. He's at Plant Street now, but he and I have.
GoCo was they were. You could tell they got a touch on that, right?
Yeah.
Some of the
he's just brilliant and like one of my best friends. I mean, we both started in the business at the same time. He actually helped launch the Golf Channel.
Oh, really?
So from a production standpoint and everything, I mean, he really has a great eye for that. He did a lot of.
Do you shoot all that stuff in Minnesota?
Yes. So basically, when you're launching a brand like that, the one thing you're starving for is money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's so cash intensive to grow that brand. So we shot the original show. I literally had $138,000 to work with. And the reason that it's that number is the original show, all the money came from all different investors. Some people invested $1,000. Yeah. Some people invested $5, some $20. But Mike had all these people, and for me, it was just like this.
Such a good
I had just had this tremendous sense of responsibility, where like all these people are. It's like like your grandma going, "Here's $1,000, but I really believe in you." Yeah, you're like, "Oh my God, like don't screw this up," right? So,
and that's not atypical. I mean, we still see that today when we cobble brands together. Yeah. It's not the $5,000, $1,000 check, but it's people pooling their money together to get behind and.
Yeah,
it's one of the greatest games in capitalism, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it is, and we basically, another one of my best buds in the business, a production guy, Adonis Cruz. He and I traveled all around together, like capturing all these different testimonials and stuff for there. We had to go to New York. We went all over for that, and kind of brought the whole thing in for that. But Twin Cities Television, public access. I found this place down in downtown Minneapolis, and they have this ginormous, beautiful studio, paid for by our tax dollars. And it was beautiful. I'm like, the guy's like, this elevator we had an elephant in it one time. It could go all the way. I'm like, that's great. I'm just looking to shoot a show here. But, but they had this beautiful, beautiful studio, and they had all these different props areas, and like, you could make stuff and different things. And so we're like, hey, what would you guys do it? The price was right. So it looked like this big studio shoot, but it was actually all public television. We brought in some bleachers because Mike really likes, his people. Mike likes to talk to his people. And if you just had a dark room there or something like that, you would never capture the full essence in the passion from him. But he likes joking around, which loosens them up, and everyone's laughing and, what have you, and having a good time. So that's kind of how the whole first one, all the backdrop pieces were all things we took from other shoots, repurposed, put it all up there. And I think we shot that whole studio day for about like $25,000 or something.
Wow.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show you, though, right? Product is king, positioning, price point, and talent. Like
Talent.
Mike, Ron Popeil, you harken back to all these guys that were great pitchmen, and he's one of them for sure. He's going to go down as that, if anything. And so it's still on the air, still kicking ass.
Still on the air, still doing, just, great numbers. You know what I mean? But again, after 11 years, you get a real feel for something. You know what I mean? So we kind of a good feel for that and what have you. And, so now it's kind of coming out with some, some 2.0 type products and some new things like that and what have you. But
you did the sheets too. The sheets was a great piece of creative. I remember calling you on that one too. I'm like,
yeah,
because I had to know. I'm like, it's great. And then he cuts to, and it's a really good product. So this isn't going to take away from the quality of the product, but you do a cut to Egyptian cotton or whatever it is what is it, guys?
It's between the Egyptian Sea.
And there's just a piece there where he shows cotton fields.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that B-roll? That's got to be B-roll.
It is B-roll. It
cost you nothing, basically.
Right. I didn't have time to make a graphic. That needed to be on the air.
Pulled it down off of Adobe or something and just
Google Earth.
Yeah.
They have great, like when they hone in on there, it's like right here.
Beautiful shot though. It's really good. It puts you right in touch
Thank Google
with
Earth.
exactly what
I
it
just
is.
said, hey, why don't you hone in on this area right here? There, boom, cotton fields, boom.
And the bed topper with the little jingle that you guys made up, that was great.
Yeah. Oh, like the My Pillow jingle?
Yes.
Did you write that?
Yes.
Yes.
You did.
Sing it.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
So
Little ding in there. Yeah.
That was your jingle.
Yeah.
You get a royalty on that?
Not as far as you know.
Yeah. That's funny. Most people don't know that there's actually our music royalties in our industry, and that when soundtracks get laid down, there's a creator, there's a publisher, and there's the creative piece, and that goes through BMI and ASCAP, and it all gets paid out on a quarterly basis. So
and
there's a little nugget for you young marketers out there.
And it can be serious dollars.
It can be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we won't talk anymore about that, I guess.
I have my own ASCAP BMI account. So,
good. So you're not in Minnesota anymore. We all know that. So you left Minnesota. Life changed.
Yep, life changed. Came back from Minnesota. Basically, I was there for 4 years, and like I said, the first 2 were really just kind of helping, kind of working side by side with Mike every day. Really, kind of helping to build that out. Almost kind of taking a break from, our main business just to really kind of help keep that going because, as you guys know, growth can kill you faster than anything. And just trying to say like, hey, I know what's coming. Like I've been to this party before. Like it's like a tsunami. Like, hey, look, all the water's running out there. It's like, like what's coming, right?
Let's buy a jet.
Yeah, exactly.
The 4 worst words in direct marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So, but and then obviously some of the different line extensions with QVC and some of those different things. I mean, it was just, and that was a funny story too. I mean, QVC, we really were kind of on the fence about whether or not we wanted to kind of do that. Mm-hmm. And then Mike came to me one day and said, hey, so-and-so cut all the casings wrong. So we had all this material and all these materials would be cut to be sewing the casings that you fill with foam that you make the pillows. Mm-hmm. And instead of having those be, standard queen, they actually cut them as full-size pillows. And we don't sell those. And we can't get that material back, and we've already spent that money. Yeah. So now what we have, what I call in our business as trap capital, which is basically, I got a lot of product, but I have no way to get rid of it. What do I do? So I said, hey, you know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll get with QVC, and I'll make them their own pillow.
Special edition.
It'll be that one.
So
special edition. And that's kind of how that started. And they came in and they wanted to sell that pillow for $29.95, and we're like, hey, not doing it. They're like, well, we're talking $1 million here. I'm like, I can click my mouse and do an email blast for $1 million. Yeah. It's like we're not going to trash the brand for that. So anyway, they agreed to kind of go out at the pricing that we suggested, and it was immediate sellout. And we did like just millions and millions of dollars.
It's interesting. You make a good point, and we know this. We're in the middle of some of this right now with a product. Table stakes become quite a lot higher once you have scale. Like the little moves, the little mistakes, the dollar per unit, not getting the inventory in time are magnified, and it becomes
labels in the wrong place.
It can become a BK. It becomes
a
train wreck. I mean, we've seen it in our industry time and time again. I remember the infamous pillow story. with the husks having a bug in them. It was husks in the pillow.
No, it was larvae. And they were what they called stored food pests. I know this from my pest control days. Okay, stored food pests. That's what happens is when those things get rotten. This larva comes in there in order to eat it and get rid of it, right?
So, and these pillows were filled.
So now people are going, "Why is my pillow moving?" And it's and they said, "Put it in the freezer for 24 hours and then take it out. It'll be fine." And of course, everyone's like, "Yeah, how about here's your pillow?"
For the record, this was not my pillow. This was decades ago.
This was a Sobokawa
pillow, and so stuff like that happens, and in an industry where there's two things, right? It's like working capital and inventory are just so important, right?
Yeah.
You're paying for all this media up front. And when you're running $1 million worth of media, $2 million worth of media a week, you're going out a month, you're out $8 million in media up front. And you got all the product you got to have sitting in that warehouse. And unlike my pillow, most product comes from overseas. So you're paying for that stuff and you're having it hit the boat 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time.
Right.
So now you're talking about a couple months of fronting not only millions of dollars product, millions of dollars of media. You need 10, 12, 15 million dollars in working capital for an average hit.
Yeah.
And the average Joe doesn't know that. And that's really where, in our industry, where we come in, we have access to that capital. That's what we do.
Well, when you're in a new business, and then, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I really need like a line or I need to get credit. And they're like, can't give it to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do it. So in the case of QVC, it was like, hey, we, good news, bad news. Like we got this purchase order, for like, $15 million. But the foam guys are like, hey man, we can't.
We're tapped.
Like we need to do whatever. So, little known story. So Life Brands, Jeff and I, my partner Jeff, which you guys know.
Yep.
We got with Mike and said, hey man, like we'll basically,
front.
Yeah.
Bankroll it.
Well, we'll basically we'll vouch for the credit. Like we'll put the credit in our name, and luckily we were able to qualify for that. And that's how QVC kind of happened. And then obviously from there, My Pillow was able to kind of bring that over and whatever. But it's one of the things that, like I said, when I talk about there's a handful of people in our business doing it right, it's like, clients and they really care when you're putting some skin in the game, when you're saying, hey, I can help you solve that. I mean, we really, really go to bat for
So true.
Yeah,
you guys do it. There's a lot of people, like I said, that are doing the business the right way. And it's like, listen, because it's a very calculated risk. It's like, I literally, I have $20 million, PO in my hand from QVC. It's like, of course I would do it. The only reason you wouldn't is if you're allergic to money. Clearly we're not, because we're in this business.
Yeah.
Well, and once a brand is built and it gets going and it's going down the tracks, at that point you can't stop it. Because you stop it, it's going to screw up everything. And someone like yourself and us, we're always trying to think of what is the next step. Because you got to be in front of it. Because if not, the train can get derailed very quickly, and we just want to keep it going.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's one of the things that that people pay us for, right?
Yeah.
Is to avoid those mistakes.
Because we've made a lot of them.
Oh man, I mean, I have lost millions and made millions in this business.
So
you know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
And those are valuable lessons. You know what I mean? It's stuff you can't learn in a classroom. It's a live fire environment that we're in.
Yeah,
this is not an exercise.
And knowledge is king, and but execution is just as important. And putting in best practices. I can't tell you how many times you say it up front, like, hey, marketer, you make sure you have a couple of merchant accounts, because there's this little thing called chargebacks and returns, and banks can get skittish.
Risk management. I mean,
right?
those guys.
And we've seen it time and time again, where all of a sudden your credit card processors taking in millions, and your chargebacks go up a little, or for whatever reason they don't like what you're doing, or they don't want to be in this business, and they make that decision on a Monday, you're done.
Yeah, or they say like, hey, we got
cards,
to take a $40,000 deposit now.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't have that on my spreadsheet as a line item where I can, what? So no, you're absolutely right.
So you get out of Minnesota, your life changes quite a bit, right? You got divorced and then moved. Where'd you go to?
Yeah, so we parted ways. I came back to California. At that time we had come back to California, and that's where we kind of parted ways and everything.
Yeah,
and her and I get along, fine, these days and stuff too. She's a great lady. So I kind of was in California, and then really, had the office out in Philly, and it just got really difficult for us, like in the area that we were in, to really kind of just, maintain what we were doing and kind of grow it. So, Las Vegas is, now where I call home, and it's where, ground zero is for Life Brands D2C. So we kind of moved everything out there. We started another company called Revmo, which specializes in the Amazon platform. So we're kind of moving everything, and that's based in Las Vegas also. So just, for whatever reason, like Nevada's just, has been a really, really great state to operate out of.
Nice taxes.
Nice, yeah. No state income tax. That's a real number, right?
Yeah.
It's a real number, and the thing that we also liked about that is, like for me personally, I save almost 30% there, which is a big number.
That's crazy.
But also, we're able to give a lot more to our employees, which is great. You know what I mean? So that worked out really well. And again, we're just seeing like a lot more talent coming out there because a lot more people from California are moving to Vegas and Nevada in general. So it was a good move for us there. And, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it as a jumping off point. Obviously, I'm a diehard Raiders fan, so all
and we're going to the game tonight.
That's right. Yeah, we are. So
Raider Nation.
Hoping to get that W, baby.
Dude, you got the whole outfit, the hat. You got the hat. You got to put that hat on.
Listen, you said it in the beginning of this, like, we don't go into anything like halfway.
Right.
Like, we're full throttle.
Yeah, raise the pirate flag. We're taking over the ship.
Yeah, that was the first team I played on in Pee Wee football. I was 7 years old, and
but you're all grown up now. You're living a different life, a sober life.
Yes.
I don't know if you talk about that at all.
No, I love to. Listen, man,
we were with you
no
back
regrets,
in the day.
Man. Oh yeah, no, listen,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I had an amazing run, an amazing time with that, but I'm super super thankful that I was able to recognize when that started getting in the way of things that I really enjoyed doing. I felt that first of all, it got really hard on my body. I really didn't have a hangover until about age 40.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. So, for me, all of a sudden it was like, man, I would just get like laid out for a day. Like, geez, this is terrible. And, whatever. But, it just got to the point where I just kind of made peace with that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, it's getting in the way of the things that I want to do. Obviously, I think I'm definitely a better, business owner, just a better, just a better person overall, really. You know what I mean? But just kind of making peace with it, really, and being okay with that. And the funny thing is I never realized just it's not something I really kind of talk about. I just kind of like do my own thing. But how many people have said, "Hey, man, I see what you're doing. I see how your life has been changing, and I had some issues with that, and I decided, like, you really helped me kind of make a decision for that, and it's including my youngest son." Who's 4 years sober. He'll be 5 years in March. So
congratulations!
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Mark, you and I have had talks about this, and I've always, in my past lives, had a good time, and I've learned how to keep it pretty good these days, and I sit here right now with us three here, and it seriously almost brings a tear to my eye because Rob and I had this idea of doing a podcast, and slowly but surely we're here, and sitting here today with you, it really does bring it full circle and how far we've come, not only professionally, but personally. And when I look at us three now, we're so much happier these days than we were. And it's fucking amazing. Excuse my French.
That's English, and I love it. And I'll tell you, this is something that probably only a handful of people know, and I'll tell you this, and it goes back to Mike Lindell. So when it came to a point where I was like, hey, man, I really need to handle this issue. It was right when My Pillow was kind of starting. I could see what was going to need to happen.
I think we were with you in San Diego.
Yeah, that was my last run, but a lot of people didn't know that. But after that, when I came back, that was probably one of the most difficult calls I had to make because I knew where this was, what this had the potential to do. I knew that in order for me to execute and do what I needed to do and really be there for Mike, that I would need to basically be sober. Mm-hmm. And so I basically I picked up my phone probably 4 times to call him, and finally I called him and I just said, hey, Mike, I said, here's what's up. Something I need to do, whatever. And he told me, he goes, hey, listen, he goes, I had a dream the other night that I was sitting outside on a bench and that you called and that you told me that you were going to, be going into rehab and doing this and whatever. And he goes, I already know. He goes, man, I'm so happy for you, brother. He's like, I'm so happy. He's like, don't you worry about anything. He's like, I got you 100%. He's like, when you get out, he's like, we're going to hit the ground running. It's going to be great. He's like, you just go take care of you, man. He's like, you've left it all on the court for me right now. And I see that and, whatever. And it was like, it literally, I was literally in tears because it was like one of those things for my company too, where I didn't want to miss the opportunity for, for my people and everything too. So that encouragement, that I got from him to take that next step has really what's led me to, being sober for over 10 years now, and my life is, people say early in sobriety, like, hey, it gets better, and it really, really does, even to the point where I'm saying there's no way it could get better. And it just did. I'm sitting here with you guys doing this, you know what I'm saying? So again, it's just such a blessing. And again, I really appreciated that, because I could have went, any way, but that encouragement allowed me to make peace with that, allowed me to go and do what I needed to do. I was gone for 10 days. When I came out, the first thing he said, well, Mike made a couple decisions on some things, and we're $2 million in the hole. I'm like, welcome back. So you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? And just hit the ground running and really never look back. And for me, it was never. I don't. I love all the different programs out there. I go to meetings here and there, like with someone who would want to go, but it's not really kind of something that I normally do at all. But through that process, I was just able to make peace with that in a way that just allowed me to just be like, I'm good, and just kind of move on with my life, and not have that type of anxiety or missing out. Because as men especially, it's such a fraternal thing, you know what I mean? It's like, and there's billions of dollars that go into making it a fraternal thing. Grab some buds, right? Grab some buds.
Everywhere.
You know what I mean? It's like, make it a, whatever, put your thing in there. So it's so glamorized and everything. When you go out, it's almost awkward sometimes in a social setting. But for me, I'm already so fucking obnoxious that people don't even know I don't drink. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm already so obnoxious. People are just like, oh, what do you mean he's not drinking?
Well, I mean, and I think it helps so many people, ourselves included, when somebody like you you own your story, right?
Oh, and
I've known just so many entrepreneurs that are sober now and AA guys, and they say the same thing that you're saying. Like, their life just changed so much for the better over time in ways that you would never, ever, ever have.
Oh man, there's guys that I ran with, growing up and everything like that, who've now been sober for 2 years, for 3 years, for like whatever. And again, not, they say it's kind of attraction more than promotion. Like, I never really talk about it, you know what I mean? But people just know me. They see me living my life, and they see, kind of the difference that I'm able to make, So for me, it's been incredible, and that's how I met Darren Waller, from the Raiders. And
is that you just challenged yourself? You're like, I'm really going to put myself to the test. I'm going to move to Vegas.
Yeah, that's what everybody said. Like, are you out of your mind?
And I'm going to go to every Raiders game.
Yeah, they said, like, are you out of your mind?
And Knights game.
Yeah, and Knights game. Oh yeah, I love the Golden Knights. Yeah. I mean, nobody. I'm sorry, but nobody does hockey like Vegas. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, for me, again, it was about the ability to make peace with all that. And again, it doesn't matter what setting I'm in or where I'm at. I'm like, I know if I want to do anything, I can. And, we literally can do anything we almost want to,
yes.
So it's like, but yeah, it's just like, I have other wants, you know what I mean? I just, I mean, it's just different,
awesome.
But
well, dude, it's great to see you in this place. We definitely were with you in that basement.
Yeah.
And it's really good to see you just shining another major hit under your belt. It's incredible to see. I can't wait to see what you have coming next.
Me too.
You're a good friend, man. And,
thanks, man. Yeah, you guys are
very good friend. Love you, bro.
Yeah, same, man. You guys, like I said, listen, for a lot of you who are maybe just getting to know these two cats. We all grew up in this business together, and like I said, I don't even know I can say this, but I'm going to say it. When Frank and I, we all started first doing business together. We've done business on a handshake together for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And we've traded millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Correct.
Between us,
but probably don't have a contract.
No, we don't. I didn't want to say that because I don't want our people to go, well, wait, hold on a second here. What's up with it, whatever? It's like, hey.
And what's really the truth of the matter is we are competitors.
Yeah,
we are competitors.
That's right.
We are 100% competitors,
Yeah.
but collaborators.
Who let you in here?
Yeah,
Right, exactly. I just came in here, was taking pictures of all the offices earlier, and no, but you know what? And that's what I'm saying. That's really the beautiful thing about our business, and and having kind of the small family that we have. And again, we talk about other guys like Chris Dompier and in his agency and different people. Like, we're all competitors, but at the same time, we're all trying to help each other. We all root for each other.
Yeah,
we do.
And generally, like if someone says, "Oh, hey, you know what? We're going over to Canella. Hey, you know what? You're gonna love those guys. Those guys are great. It's super good. If you need anything, let us know. But yeah, you're in great hands over there."
Yeah,
Same,
and I agree
same.
that the best trade secrets are the ones that are shared at the top. And
Yeah.
it's often where it stops. And I think you've given us so much insight. You're a creative inspiration, just
Thanks,
knocking
man.
it out of the park personally and in business. And
Yeah, I love this business, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like as soon as I got introduced to it, I knew this was my thing.
Yeah.
I just knew. I'm like, man, I love this.
Same.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
a good. This is a good.
It's the juice, baby. It's the
It's a
best
good-
drug
it's
in
a
the
good
world,
addiction,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. When you're spending like $2 million a week, bringing back 6, that's a hell of a high.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Well, you guys are going to the Raiders game tonight. Have fun.
Raiders.
I must have-
Raiders.
My ticket must have slipped out of the car. and
Listen, we
drove
got
over.
you one if you want
It's
to
all
go.
Don't be afraid.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can don all that gear that you guys wear.
No. Listen, that's completely like. See, we take everybody. Like, you want to dress up, great. You don't, that's fine too.
All right. Well, let's do it. Great seeing you. Love
Great
you,
seeing
man.
you, man. Love you too, brother.
We've had
Thank you.
just so much success with you. Looking forward to seeing what's around the next corner, the next chapter in your
Yeah, me
book.
too.
Proud of you. Glad to see you where
Yeah,
you're
same.
at. And
Thank you, guys.
So proud of you.
Yeah,
Love
thanks,
you,
man. Yeah, I love you guys too, man. Appreciate
thanks for
it.
stopping by.
So good, so fresh.
For more content like this, subscribe to Let's Make Millions and get alerts for all future episodes.